Happy Saturday. So today is March 26, 2022. I would like to support information about BPD, PTSD, anxiety, and some kind of depression that I had for a long time. So I struggled with those symptoms when I was in the Philippines, young, like 18. I started to, to experience not sleeping, worried about school, worried about my mother's business, how we gonna survive in the Philippines, how I can support my own tuition fees, and how to study properly while working for our business. So I developed PTSD from, I don't know exactly how young I was, but you know but my mother also was struggling with mental health issues, trying to raise us and things that may be, you know hard for her to do properly, or some kind of needed assistance from the government supposed to be, but no, there's no help in there. So I ended up the last resort of my mental health when I was in Camiguin Island. So I was working in Manila supporting my daughter. It's one of my video. Uh, I struggle with my mental health, walking around delusional because I didn't sleep for a long time. I always been not sleeping. Like I only sleep like 1 hour or 2 hours until try to figure it out to go somewhere to help me out. So United States is my best options, and I always been wanted to come here, but because of a lot of conflicts, there's no exact address and things like that. Other reasons I get so delayed, and also the competitions with a lot of things at work and the environment in the Philippines that became worse and worse about coming to United States, and how American man couldn't stand me that time. It was because, you can send something red flags and anything like that, and also they couldn't have me in their pocket, so I always that way for my whole life, that I stood up for myself and things. But there were times that has a BPD, you're struggling with yourself most of the time. So that's why you became codependency, or people use you for them to survive or anything like that. So I struggled with that, with abuse relationship, that even though I wasn't like physically abused, but mentally the entire time. It's because it wasn't in my values. My family raised me a different way. It's so very conservative. So I ended up in the island in 2008 after the struggle in Manila for finding a job and things, because of one of the video also about how the age limit in the Philippines finding a job. So I ended up in the Camiguin, so where where the island of my birth. So I went there with my daughter, with my cat. So it's so good, like things that I decided, even though I was so delusional, I still wanted to experience adventure. So we took a bus from Manila to Camiguin Island. I mean, to Mindanao. So that's a long ride with our cat, of course, sitting down on the seat, and he was really behave and things, and good boy. I call him boy, and he's a spoiled rat and cat brat, kind. So I love him to death, but because, it's a lot of heartbreak, a lot of heartbreak. So I ended up in Camiguin and nowhere place to go. Even my own biological father, he's already had his own family and couldn't really help me in a way. So I was very delusional that time. One day there was like a gatherings for, I didn't even remember that day or any kind. I think that was election day, or something like that, that the politics doing a lot in the island. So I was walking around delusional. I was so afraid about how I see people, like they're all like in one direction, like no one ever think about outside of the box that can be so better. They're always like a robot or kind of people are talking to you the same way. Like what's it? Are you guys crazy? Like some kind of, can you stand up for yourself or something? So I've been struggling with that, talking to people in the Philippines. So I ended up like trying to open the door because I'm so afraid of people. I tried to open the door of the governor. I think that time the nice, really looking car or a vehicle. So they ended up me up in the jail. So because there's no such thing like mental health facility in the Philippines, and they underestimate that. They laugh about it. They embarrassed about it. So I ended up in the jail, and I was so delusional. I was screaming. I didn't know what's going on. There's something also I can sense about my daughter that time. And I know it's hard to really say about it because, it's so confidential for her privacy. But it was a terrible, terrible, you know, sense that I can feel from my daughter and people around me in general, because that's how it works mostly. That everybody should be aware that we react from the environment, the way environment that we contributed, something like that. So it's just all over that. It's really hard because in the Philippines we don't study that, but something I think that needed to consider in our study, especially for kids, for them to understand better where they at, how they be aware of nature and all the things like that. So I was in jail. I got raped there. So it's not something that I could fight that time. You know how corrupt is the Philippines that time. That was, I think, 2008. So from my relationship with that California guy that I waited from 2004 all the way to 2008, only to tell me that he was getting married. So it's very like painful for me waiting that long. We had a lot of dreams, we had things like that. I was struggled with my BPD, and he called me crazy and things. So really abusive in white supremacist kind of way. And I had no clue about what's going on in the United States. I believe that American people greater better. It's because they respect people, they respect low risk kind of jobs, and especially collecting trash or cleaning bathrooms and things. That's why I believe that's how people being taught in there that American people were very respectful about jobs. Maybe you know that right now, okay? So that's very tragic for me, and how I struggle with my PTSD, how I struggle with my borderline personality disorder in all of my relationships when I get to the United States. I get taken advantage of American people, like white American mostly, because I dated white American. Okay, I live with two white Americans here in Maui and here, and they treated me like a trash overall for favor with other Asians that they thought can help them with their American dream. And also they look great. They also like design the way they are. Of course, they have to fit in the society, in the environment for their advantage. So that's what happened here. Even work related here that struggle for me in my mental health, in BPD, and my PTSD. So only the medication that helped me and my therapy, the constant therapy, that I'm really aware which things I need to work on with the struggle and everyday basis whenever I encounter it in a long run. Okay, so this is helpful in a lot of things, informations of BPD, PTSD, anxiety. So about anxiety, I had a really terrible anxiety. I call it like a tardy. I don't know. It's like I forgot what it is. So it's really bad that my tongue was twisted, and it's like I got like burned alive, things like that. You can find it. It's like something of akatisha or something. So it's because my medication, a side effect taking it for 4 years. There's medication that helped me. I struggle with trying to find a medication to help me sleep, to be honest, because I couldn't sleep. So sleep is very important to me until I found an expensive medication that costs, if you buy it from your pocket, is 1,200 a month. So it helped me with my sleep. Finally, I live my life what it is today, and I'm so grateful for all the sacrifice I had. Okay, so in a relationship currently that I have, so I had, it was a totally like a mental abuse for me. He's been like connected with his best friends, Thai nationality, Thai people in Hawaii, and they've been friends forever. I don't know if they're still talking. I had no idea. Only them knows that because they're working like a nightlife kind of thing, So he told me that about these people, I don't know, the only them knows that. But he was driving Uber and military and being broke. At the time that my mental health was struggled too much that he was so broke, struggling with a kidney failure, that I had to help him because I had no choice. I had no family here. I tried to seek a relationship. I tried to, to grasp with the best person that can balance with me and all that stuff and that kind of support that I need. So the time is very red flag in a lot of things, but I was to concentrate working more than what I should be, like 70 hours a week, like I always been when I get to United States. Even the Philippines, I work a lot. It's been like part of the BPD, the coping skills to work, to just so that they get distracted because borderline personality disorder is always connected with PTSD. Because of you, in a way that you can handle better the BPD, you need to really handle properly the PTSD because they are like connected a lot. So yeah. So my mental health been struggled and all these guys that I tried to connect with and I thought their good advantage for my mental health, my well-being and how I can survive every day because it's what we needed the most and in our lives. Especially I have no family here, like I said, I have no family in Hawaii. I have no family in I have United States here family here, but they have their own thing. So there's no such kind of of outlet or any kind like that. So usually it's hard for me to also talk to fellow Filipinos here. They're also struggling. Okay, so I couldn't really like relate to them. Not I think that not unless I filter things like the way I'm doing my job properly right now. That they are really like with good relationship with my coworkers, with my crew, with my workers, and everything like that. Because that's the skill that everybody needed to learn to create that kind of environment to be able to keep going. In your daily shift. Because it's a struggle for everyone. So and also it's helping you in a lot of ways doing your job better. Okay, so yeah, it's hard. Right now, I'm trying to find a really good paying job or higher paying job like real estate. But the opportunity here is really also really difficult. Like I already figured out my BPD because that's very important for you to figure it out. If you need someone to help you or something like you can connect that something in the higher level that you can understand it better. So it's very important for that opportunity, use that opportunity for you to to do what you need to do to survive in a long-term basis. So right now I'm trying to learn real estate, working 17 hours a week. I have kids that I need to take care of because my son have a ADHD, and taking care of myself, my mental health more and more. And you know I always have like this big heart for a lot of people struggling with their mental health. The way they talk to me can sense something that as much as they can before they grasp somewhere to help them out. If I can be there the way I was needed at those times when I'm looking for it, I was there listening, trying to give them positive, what do you call this, remarks or more motivational things. So even the customers that I work at around me, anybody here in Hawaii, that's why I'm grateful for what I have and the way this kind of in, state and people here that locally being here for a longer time since forever, they're really great people. So the BPD and PTSD here in Hawaii is really difficult if you don't know how to handle it properly. If you need the grasp of trying to survive every day, that you have to do things in any way that you can. Okay, so like people coming to Hawaii, you know what they're doing here. They came here for I don't know because this is a tourist place, a tourist state that a lot of Japan coming in here, Chinese coming in here, and those times, especially in 2010, the entire time in here, I struggled with my mental health. The it's funneled down, especially Americans, they're just favoring it to other people. That's why we are Filipinos here. I just don't know how they're being treated here. So, like for example, when I was attending a class for real estate, that time I failed for that class for the exam. Okay, they've been like talking about Filipinos bought a thing like this from a property, things that they painted pink in their gate, things like that. So this very uncomfortable. I just don't know if it's happening to other areas, getting a class or anything of how Filipinos being talk about like some kind of fun, but hoping it's some kind of awareness that Filipinos or anybody that aware of the culture and our history can help us out instead of us being a topic of some kind of a laughing thing. So please help people in general. Like me, I don't pick people to help whoever you are. I know I've been talking about the white people and things, but you know what? I had good conversation with white people. I can sense when they're good. I can sense. We all have that responsibility. We need to not judge, but to have a good connection with people and bring the topic in a positive way without taking advantage in my side or in their side. So hoping that we can create a better environment ourselves as things getting harder for us in our economy, in our everyday everyday lives nowadays. 2022, Russia and Ukraine war and United, all over the world, all the leaders are struggling. So hoping we can do something. So I'm gonna do the video later on about also the inflation, how it affects us, and how Americans should handle it properly. Because there's something that I saw it myself. I don't know if you saw it, but I can help you better. Right now it's Saturday. I clean and busy, and you know I have a dog and a cat here that needed me. So there's a lot of things to do today, and I had to work today too at Walmart. So hit me up with any messages, however I can help, and hoping we can create this kind of opportunity for me, for you, or anybody that has the same struggle, the same brain, how we can help to overcome PTSD the way I did. So you know it's really good to do that, in this level of struggle worldwide. So have a good day and happy Saturday. Because the mask mandate is already lifted today, so let's see how it looks around. Okay, so I'm not yet used to people seeing them with their whole face anymore, even myself in the mirror when I go to work. So you know what I mean. So it's back to normal. Have a good day.